So hey everyone, welcome back to this lecture. So this is the last video in the Project 1 series. I'm so excited. So it was a proper wrap. Probably I'll just have one more video to destroy the entire environment because obviously it should have at least costed $2 or $3 to do this project. But we are trying to keep it as cheap as possible. Okay. So in the previous lecture, what we did was we did load balancer with HTTPS and we checked the endpoint out through HTTPS and it was working. So in this video, what we are going to do is we are going to go back to the front end, and this time we are going to update our endpoint URL in the front end to HTTPS, do the build once more and upload the artifacts back to a brand new S3 bucket. But this time we will keep all of our artifacts private in the S3 bucket. And then we will go ahead and create a Cloudfront distribution, which will go ahead and retrieve all of your artifacts from the S3 bucket using origin access identity so that it's very secure. And finally, we will translate the Cloudfront distribution's domain name to a very nice domain name on Route 53, something along the lines of frontend.zerosinitiative.com, so that you get your website on HTTPS in Cloudfront also. So this is the final part. Please do follow along. You should get things right. So let's get started. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to log into our Angular machine. I used a separate machine for NPM to install NPM node as well as work with the Angular project. So I'm going to go ahead and log into that instance. So let's first check whether that instance is up and running and whether it has enough permissions in order to go ahead and talk to S3. So let's go ahead and click on EC2 under services. So you guys should already have this machine running. It could be your local development machine, or if you had a separate machine like how I had for Angular builds, you can go ahead and click on that machine. Let's just take a small look at the IAM role. Yes, it does have the IAM role access to S3, which we associated in the previous lecture. So let's go ahead and log into this instance. So I'm just going to copy the public IP, go back to my terminal, clear my screen. I'm within the downloads directory, SSH EC2-user at public IP -i akshayzi.pem. Okay, cool. So I think it's starting up. We are able to log in. Yes, great. So we have logged into this Angular build machine. So if I just type ls, you should be able to see the sample application over here. So within this sample application, which is nothing but our Angular project, let's go ahead and first update the endpoint URL. So let's update the file source app constants. I think it should be called as constants.ts file. Let's update this file with the server endpoint URL. Rather than HTTP, we are going to use HTTPS. Let's click on escape, write and quit for W and Q. So once you have updated this file, the next thing that we have to do is just go ahead and do another ng build so that we get the latest code into our dist directory. But before that, let me just remove the dist directory, rm-rf dist directory. So once that is deleted, let's go ahead and do ng build, and let's keep our fingers crossed and wait until the dist directory is built. So it's compiling all of our code. So probably one thing that we can do in the meantime is let's go ahead and create a bucket for ourselves. So let's not use the bucket that we created the last time. Let's go ahead and use a different bucket this time. So I'm opening up S3 in a new tab. I'm going to click on create bucket, and I'm just going to call this bucket as frontend Akshay 2395. And I'm going to keep it in the Northern Virginia region. It's going to be fully private. It's not going to be public at all. Let's go ahead and click on create. So the bucket has been created. Let's go back to the terminal. Yes, our Angular application has also been built. Let's take a look at whether we got the dist directory. Yes, we do have the dist directory. So that means it's just a matter of uploading all of these artifacts within the dist directory to that bucket. So let's do that. So let's use the AWS S3 CP -- recursive command with the source being dist / sample application / and the destination be S3 / frontend Akshay 2395 as our bucket name. Let's hit enter. So it should be able to upload all of the files. Brilliant. It has uploaded all of the files. Let's go ahead and check this out. So let's go to our S3 bucket. Let's open up our S3 bucket. Cool. We do have the index.html. Everything has been uploaded to the root of the S3 bucket. But remember that our S3 bucket is private. It's not at all public. So we don't have any permissions on this bucket. So again, you can see block all public access is switched to on. Even we don't have any ACLs giving it public read. We don't have any bucket policies. So therefore, this is the most secure way in which you will be able to, ensure that all of your objects within your bucket is private. Okay. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a Cloudfront distribution, which is going to take all of these objects from the S3 bucket and start giving it to us only via the Cloudfront URLs endpoint, rather than anyone accessing it through the S3's URL endpoint directly. So even if we do click on index.html right now and click on this object URL and open it in a new tab, we get the access denied because it's private. So let's go ahead and create a Cloudfront distribution right now. Let's choose a web-based distribution. So click on services, click on Cloudfront. Just remember the name of your bucket because you will need that over here. So I already do have a distribution over here for my own website, but let's go ahead and create a new distribution for this project. And they are going to stop support for RTMP distributions, but for right now, we are going to go with web-based distribution. So let's click on get started. The origin domain name that we are going to choose is nothing but our S3 bucket. So let's choose our S3 bucket. It's called as frontend Akshay 2395. So automatically you can see over here it has populated the origin ID. Let's go ahead and restrict the bucket access because I want only Cloudfront to go ahead and get all of the objects from my bucket rather than anyone accessing it over the S3 URLs. So to do that, let's click on yes for restrict bucket access. Let's create a new identity and let's also update the bucket policy. So Cloudfront is going to do that for us. So the next thing, the viewer protocol policy is I'm going to choose redirect HTTP to HTTPS. So anyone who hits HTTP on the browser, automatically it's going to be redirected to HTTPS. The allowed methods for right now, I'm okay with get and head because my application is not that complex that it should support put, post, patch, and delete. But if you would like, you can go with those options. But just for right now, I'm just going to cover the entire base. So I'm just going to go with all of the options. So previously with Cloudfront, they had these caching settings where you can go ahead and choose your legacy cache settings or just go with a new cache policy. So right now, they do manage these cache policies. In order to read more about that, you can click on learn more and read about it. But otherwise, you can always use legacy cache settings and then configure the TTL accordingly for yourselves. But then for right now, we'll just go with manage cache optimize. We are not concerned about most of these configurations over here. And we have covered all of these configurations in the Cloudfront lecture. But for right now, one thing that we are concerned about is regarding the distribution settings. Over here, we are going to utilize all of the edge locations for best performance so that everyone across the entire world is able to view our application with very low latency. In regards to the web ACL, you can go ahead and associate a web ACL that you created in WAF. So please do take a look at the WAF lecture where we created a web ACL for Cloudfront. And all you need to do is just choose it from the dropdown. But for right now, we're just going to keep it simple. So the alternate domain names that I'm going to give is I'm going to say it's called as frontend project.zerosinitiative.com. So this alternate CNAME is very important because you need to specify in Cloudfront what is going to be your domain name that you're going to register in Route 53. So let me just copy this and go to Route 53 and create a new record set. If you guys want to know as to how to reach Route 53, just click on services, type Route 53, open it up in a new tab, and you'll land in the dashboard. You can click on hosted zone, and then you can just click on your hosted zone, and then click on create record set. And this is going to be the value that I have. So it's called as frontend. Frontend project, that's the name that I gave, right? Yeah, frontend project.zerosinitiative.com. So we will come back and populate this value set in a minute. So going back to Cloudfront's configuration, we are going to choose a custom Ssl certificate. We are going to go with the zerosinitiative.com Ssl certificate. And then we are going to go with SNI, which is the recommended approach. And they recently released the TLS 1.2 2019 protocol, which is what we are going to go with. But for the default root object, this is the object that I would like Cloudfront to fetch for me, which is index.html. And then scroll down and leave most of the settings as default. And let's click on create distribution. So once you click on create distribution and you click on distributions on the left side, you should be able to see a distribution created for you, which is in the in progress status. Previously, you had to wait at least 15 to 20 minutes in order to I mean, just get a distribution up and running. But I think they have optimized it really well now, so that you just have to wait for 3 to 4 minutes. So this is your auto-generated endpoint, and this is the endpoint that we would like to specify in Route 53. So going back to Route 53, you can go ahead and choose an alias record, and then from the target drop down, so it specifies that you don't have any Cloudfront distributions right now that are available. So let's just do a simple refresh, and let's click on create record set. Let's just type front end project again, choose alias. This time you should be able to see a Cloudfront distribution. So it's still saying there is no Cloudfront distribution available, but probably let's just go ahead and grab the domain name and paste it over here. Why not? So grab the domain name, paste it over here, and then go ahead and click on create. Cool. So it has created an alias record for us for the domain name, which is frontendproject.zerosinitiative.com, translating it to the Cloudfront distribution. It's pretty cool. So let's go to Cloudfront distribution and also take a look at the origin access identity on the left side. So on the left navigation bar, click on OAI, and you should be able to see there is one origin access identity that it has created for us. And if we go to our S3 bucket, so let me just open up the S3 bucket. It should have added a bucket policy for us. Let's take a look at that. So let's scroll down to frontend Akshay 2395. Click on permissions, bucket policy. Awesome. So it has added a bucket policy for us that it's stating that all of the get object actions for this bucket should come from only this origin access identity, which is cool. Because right now only Cloudfront can access those objects. No one can directly access those objects with their S3 endpoints. This is excellent. Let's save this bucket policy. Cool. So let's go back to Cloudfront and see whether our distribution has come up. Let's click on distributions. It's still in progress status. So let's just wait for some time. I'm just gonna pause the video and get back to you guys once this is deployed. Yeah, that was pretty quick. I'm surprised. So it just took only 4 to 5 minutes for the Cloudfront distribution to come up, which is pretty cool because previously I had to wait at least 15 to 20 minutes. So now this is where we test it out. So we have said redirect HTTP to HTTPS with the Ssl certificate. So fingers crossed. If we go to Route 53 and just take this endpoint, which is frontend project.zerosinitiative.com, and just copy this endpoint, paste it on the browser, we should be able to see our website. Let's just do a fingers crossed. Let's just see if it works. Oh, brilliant. Our website worked on HTTPS. Oh, I'm excited, man. This is the first time that I'm doing it. So you can click over here on this secure button. You'll be able to see that it's the valid certificate, which is issued by Amazon Certificate Manager. So on CloudFront, we have SSL. On the load balancer, we have SSL. Our backend microservice is going ahead and fetching all of our objects from the database, and then it's sending it back as a JSON response to the front end, which is being served out of an S3 bucket with proper security with a origin access identity on CloudFront. So this is amazing, man. This is pretty cool. Oh, I love this. So that's a wrap for project 1. Now let's just go ahead and delete our entire infrastructure. So in order to do that, the first thing that I would generally go ahead and delete is because generally the S3 buckets don't cost that much. So it's only going to be the backend microservice that's going to cost as well as your database. So let us open up ECS in a new tab, Elastic Container Service. And let's also open up RDS in a new tab. So with ECS, we have one cluster with one running task. Let's go ahead and delete this cluster. Click on delete. Click on delete me. Type delete me. Click on delete. So it's going to go ahead and delete all of your task services, and then it's also going to go ahead and delete all of your resources in terms of your auto-scaling group, launch configuration, EC2 instance, and so on. With RDS, we are just going to go ahead and delete the student database. Let's click on delete. We don't want to create a final snapshot because snapshots also have a cost associated with it. Click on delete. Let's also go ahead and delete our build servers that we were using, the Angular build machine, or just keep it in the stop state, probably. So just go ahead and click on actions, click on instance state, and stop. So this instance will anyways be deleted from ECS, so you don't have to worry about that. So rest of the instances, you can just keep them in the stop state. So when I started this project, my bill was around $0.5 US. when I'm wrapping up this project, my bill is around 2.73. So it's around $2, this entire setup. If you're able to just wrap it up within, if you're able to do it within an hour or two, then probably you wouldn't even get that cost. But if you're doing it over a period of 1 week, so then probably you will end up getting $2 on your bill. Okay. So I hope you got a really good idea from project one as to how to deploy microservices in the backend, how to deploy a load balancer, how to go ahead and use ECS cluster, how to do RDS, how to have S3 for the front end, as well as how to have Cloudfront in order to get all of this security related good features, having SSL on both Cloudfront and on the load balancer. So probably what I would say is we have wrapped up almost most of the services that we studied up till now in this project one. It's pretty cool, no? I feel that's awesome because you study 7 chapters or 8 chapters, and then you do a project one, which tests all of your knowledge on the 8 chapters. I think that's amazing. But then just stay with me. We have amazing plans down the line to make this course the best course out there in the market, to add 2 more projects, which I'm more excited about in regards to DevOps as well as serverless, probably after covering some other small services. So that's a wrap, guys. That's a wrap, an official wrap. Probably I should just open a bottle of champagne and enjoy. I think so. Probably why not? So I hope I'll see you guys in the next few sections wherein you guys go through all of the DevOps related tools, serverless, and all the other tools such as Kinesis Analytics and so on. So it's going to be pretty awesome. I'll catch you guys in other sessions wherein we have project 2 as well as project 3 and other small services. I'm just going to stop talking right now. So have a great day, guys. And thanks for sticking with me throughout this entire project. Have an amazing day. Stay safe and take care. See you.